Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. It's Tuesday. In 4 days, it'll be the weekend. Oh, goody. Goody, goody, goody.
Yay!
Today's the third day of the 2025 hurricane season, and the National Hurricane Center is keeping its eye, pardon the pun, on the system along the East Coast. Runs from Florida up through North Carolina. Yeah, go figure. The Hurricane Center says it's likely that an area of low pressure will become a non-tropical system, and as it moves northeastward into the Atlantic Ocean, forecasters think it becomes a tropical system during the next couple of days. How about that? Way too early for serious predictions, but knowing how some of y'all are, you might want to run on out and stock up on bread, milk, and water. You can't be too prepared too early, right?
God.
Alexa, add ice cream, hot dogs, hamburger, and buns to my shopping list.
Did you get my message last week about the ice cream again?
I did. I got them.
I'll make sure.
I don't want regular bread. I don't want any more milk. I don't want any water. I got all that. I have cream, and I have plenty of water on hand, along with some onions, potatoes, mayo. My Blackstone and I, we're good. Bring it on.
Very good.
Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Kelly Knapp.
I'm Lee Barrows.
And I didn't get the message. Versions of reddish.
I'm more pink.
She's
Well, that's
pinkish
just
red.
red.
We
Pink is
usually-
just faded red. That's all it is.
We've done that a lot.
Put a
though.
bright red shirt out there and in the sun. Stay there for a couple of
Well,
days.
under these lights, most everything. If I do wear red, it looks orange. So
What's going on in y'all world?
We
Anything
just
good?
think alike. No.
Yeah, there is. There's got to be.
let me see.
I'm sure you missed something. No.
Anything new? No.
Nothing yet.
Do
I
you
was telling-
match your lipstick to your outfit?
It wasn't intentional. I just grabbed the
Oh, it
first one in the
wasn't. Okay.
pouch when I was driving.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. It's easier that way. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a new trend on social media right now on
Oh.
TikTok,
God.
and it's gone viral, Rayford. And this
Take a pill
involves
for it.
you
No,
and
it
your
doesn't.
best buddy friend.
I don't have any of those.
And what you have to do
I
is
don't have
every
TikTok.
night you call your best friend Bo and you wish him a good night. And there's been so many videos out right now. And what's funny is,
Should I do that on my way to bed each evening?
each evening you have to call your
About
best
1
buddy
o'clock in the
friend
morning.
and you have to say, bro.
Some of them I come this way with their guns ablazing
They
just to shoot up.
They
the
did that to
streetlights.
one of the Fox News anchors last night, and one of the anchors this morning. They were showing it. They were playing the recording where he had called, and he'd forgotten to wish him good night. So he called him early this morning
Mhm.
and wished him good morning. And the guy on the other end, like he was in the studio this morning, he said, "Don't do that anymore." He said, "I felt so uncomfortable." But it's just the videos are hilarious. But every night now, you have to call your best bro.
What if my best beau is on, I don't know, let's say he's in Russia. And the time I go to bed is like kind of really weird time there.
I've got the perfect solution for you. On your radio, and
Good night,
you
y'all.
get her in. Blah 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 blah. This is Rayford, and I just wanted to wish all my bros a good night. There you go.
I would probably be banned by
Probably be a lot of radio silence.
Anybody that knows me,
Yeah.
they would. Well, right now there's a lot of radio silence anyway.
Yes.
Holy moly!
Well, the other morning when you were talking, it was so quiet.
Well, it's really quieter than that now because you don't hear nothing, honey. A geomagnetic storm.
I was just going to say, it was a geomagnetic
Yes,
storm.
absolutely. The only HF bands that are really good right now, actually the 80-meter band, which I use for, we use for communications across North Carolina, in a network every evening at 7 o'clock. It's the Coastal Carolina Emergency Net, and it's working, but it's not working. I tuned across last night before the net came on. Holy mackerel, it was just quiet all the way across it.
Wow.
So I went back to the frequency, and then at 7 o'clock promptly, net control comes on. Hey, it's AF4CJ, and I'm your net control operator tonight. Yada yada. Started up. He was nice. Where is he? I forgot where he's located. Anyway, somewhere in eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, some mornings I come in here and you're on your radio, and there's just so much. There's people.
Oh
talking
yeah,
about,
there'll be times that like the when Australia, when the South Pacific was open up,
Yes.
and I was talking to people all over the world before even it was still dark here at that time, so it's kind of wild in there. Anyway, HF right in the high frequency right now, the bands are more miss than hit.
I can
So
understand.
hopefully this geomagnetic storm will do something.
Well, I thought it was affecting my phone the other day because I couldn't use my regular text messaging. It kept saying no service available.
You forgot to pay the bill.
No, it automatically comes out every month, but I think it was the app itself. So I switched from Samsung messages to Google Messages, which I don't like, but I'm gonna have to reinstall the other one. But I was thinking, is it the storm?
It could be.
Uh,
And we got a cat
Could be.
named Stormy.
yes, you do. My mother had a cat named Stormy.
Oh,
That cat should have been named Satan.
Okay, you know, I was listening to a comic, another one
Oh,
a couple
really?
days ago. I
Yeah,
love going through and finding
Yes.
the 20-minute shows or the
You've become
half-hour
as bad
shows or
as
the hour
me.
show. I mean, I can sit there and binge watch those while I do other things because some of these comedians are just totally hilarious. Some of them are like, oh, I would have been walking out if I'd been paying admission to go there and demanding my refund.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, there are some of those, but it was one. He's a male, and some of the females I can't watch because they get so vulgar, and it's like Red Skelton said many years ago. He said, and he was speaking of one in particular. Her name was Joan Rivers. She's dead now, so can't
Oh, I remember
say-
her.
Mhm.
He said, you know, I get laughs and I don't ever have to use vulgarity to get laughs. He said the shock effect is what some people have to use to get laughs, and it's
Right.
always just nervous laughter. And I've thought about that ever since. And that was back in the 80s when he told this group that I was in,
Right.
this audience. That's pretty accurate.
Right.
And watching some of the female comics out there, comedians, they're not really that funny. They just get you because you don't expect that to come from a woman, you know?
Right.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I was listening to this one guy. He and his wife, he said, they were visiting Ireland. And he's always a cut up. And something they apparently do a lot in Ireland. I thought of Kelly.
She's just like, what?
I thought of Kelly. He said he looked at his watch. They were out eating, and he told her, he said, you know, it's coming up on 7:30 o'clock. And she looked at him and she said, nah, you're not going to do that again, are you? He smiled. Well, you know what that means, right? They're going to do it again. So the waitress came by, Irish girl, and he said, what time is it? She looked at her watch and said, it's 7:30. And his wife punched him. He responded, I could do that 9 more times before 7:40. 7:30. He'd just like to hear 7:30.
That is so lame, Rayford.
Everybody else laughed except the Irish people. I don't think they got it.
Kelly. I'm with you.
I don't think they got it. I like the way that guy's mind works.
Yes.
Does it remind either of you of anyone?
Yes.
That was the same reaction that I got from my wife, by the way.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mac Farr.
I can see Robbie now. I can see her just like cocking her eye.
She said, I got it. I looked at her and said, Did you understand it? I got it. I'm familiar with the Irish brogue.
She probably gave you that side eye glance.
I was.
Doesn't she? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I can see her now.
Oh,
I
she
can
did.
see her now.
Yeah, I got that eye. I got
Exactly.
that eye, you know.
You know, we were talking yesterday, congratulating the Jacksonville Ospreys on their big win on the 31st.
They slipped by the Newbern guys,
Yeah, the
14
Newberns
to
have-
4.
Well, guess what?
What?
That was on Saturday.
What a
They
weekend.
played again Sunday over the Yorktown Coconuts and won 7-2.
Oh,
And then they played yesterday.
well, that would have been the same ratio as the 14-4. Think about it.
If you time it by 2.
That's what I said. The same ratio.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you're
7
right.
to 2 is same as 14.
I don't
to
do
4.
math this early in the morning. And Homer, if you're listening, but yeah, they won 7-2 of the Yorktown Coconuts, and then they played Monday and won 10-3 over the Lejeune War Dogs. 3 wins in a row to start the
Okay,
season.
that's good for the season. Let's move on.
Yeah, and then they let me see. Today they're playing the Laurinburg Highland Hooligans away game. Their next
The
home
LA
game
changes,
is
huh?
Saturday. Yes, but
I'll take the Ospreys.
so I wanted to update on the local sporting news on
Our
that.
big birds will outdo those guys with the hooligans anytime.
And Chris Miller, if you're listening, we need you to call. We need to
Hey,
ask you
Chris,
something
we got
very
something
important.
extremely important today.
Yeah.
Chris, can you ring us up here? I got a question for you.
Yeah, it's extremely important because we said only Chris. We can only do this with Chris. So.
And yeah, he's the only one that's going to understand.
Right.
910-333-0139.
Oh, he's
Chris,
got us
He
on
knows
hot
the number.
I
dial.
know he does, but it's early. He may have forgotten by now.
Let's call him the bat
I
phone.
got to help him out here.
Yeah, we'll give him a little time.
910-333-0139. Chris, don't make us call you.
He might be. I don't
In
know
the
what time
bathroom.
baby girl goes to school. I think
Yeah.
he drives her.
Well,
Yeah, he
has a
takes her.
phone.
Yeah,
Oh wow, my headphones just kicked in. Whew.
that'll wake you up.
Whoa.
Yeah,
And
Okay, dokie.
starting Friday, we're talking about area stuff and attractions. What's Friday starting? Big Rock.
I was starting to say I knew that was coming up.
Kelly,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to watch the Big Rock,
I know.
SpaceX, because every day they have a launch.
Yep, and the trial.
The trial.
Uh-huh.
You,
Now the weather.
you need
Now
more
the weather.
TVs.
Yeah.
I have right now.
You need to put in your living room, like, a bunch of TVs.
Let me tell you what I have. I have my big TV over there. And then I have a TV that's a 32-incher, and it's on wheels. It's on
Uh-huh.
a stand.
Okay.
I can wheel it all
Wheel
around the
all around.
house.
Do you have a rope tied to it that just follows you? You
No, but so I have my big TV on,
Mhm.
and then
You need
I'll
a tow
have
bar like they have, to pull
the
those cars
TV on
behind
wheels.
Winnebago.
Then-
Stop.
Then your laptop.
And then my laptop.
I was going to say, then your laptop. I knew.
And I've even
And
been
then you
known
got
to.
your phone.
Yes,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
even been known to
Good
have all
God.
4 of them going. But, because you've
Kelly.
gotten as crazy as I have watching YouTube. And that's like when y'all come and say, did you hear what and so happened like in Colorado? Well, I get these dings from different YouTubers
ding,
that
ding,
I
ding,
follow
ding.
that follow any breaking news. And so I click on it. So I'm watching live on the scene action. And I just, it's like I told you, there was a guy in
I'm
Texas.
so happy for one thing that you don't speak a bunch of foreign languages with all those TV stations that I see that are
I
available
do good to speak English.
in
Rayford.
every language out there.
I do good to
watch it.
speak English. You
I
know
don't
that.
know, have a clue what they're seeing, but it's just the pictures.
I'm
it's
very
television.
I'm very extremely lazy with my English.
All right, Chris,
language.
where are you? 910-333-0139.
Well, if he doesn't call us, we'll wait till about
No, we
a
won't.
little later, and we'll call him.
I'm going to wait. I just call him in the middle of the night tonight. You ask my question. That'll wake him up. won't it?
No, we're going to ask him this morning
No, we
because
won't. I'm going to ask him.
people need to know.
I'll ask him in the middle of the night, then I'll report him back tomorrow morning. Matter of fact, I know where he lives. I'll go knock on his door.
Oh,
There you go. That's the weird news of the weird.
really?
It's perplexing, but it's from Las Vegas, so take it for what it's worth.
Okay.
And it's a serious thing. So you've been in school or you've been working, you've had a roommate at one time or another, right?
My sister moved in with me for a while.
That doesn't really count, but I guess it could.
Mhm.
So if you have a roommate, one has habits that you really can't put up with, you've had it last straw, what do? Do A, you confront the roomie, or do you move out?
I put a lot of bugs and stuff in the room.
I think you start with confronting the roomie first.
Okay. That's what 56-year-old Matthew Kellerman, a respected journalist living and working in Sin City, decided to do.
Oh, no.
his roommate, 63-year-old Joseph Del Rivo. He told him, said, you know, you're a disgusting slob. He didn't mince words.
Okay.
Kellerman had earlier confided in his family, telling them that he could not take it anymore, could not live with Del Rivo any longer, but he was afraid of his roommate's reaction.
Mm.
You know, you feel bad for the people, right? You're concerned about their feelings, maybe, right?
Okay.
So he told them that in the 6 months they had shared the apartment, he expressed concerns about the guy, saying he was pretty strange and was a disgusting slob. So it appears that when Kellerman confronted Del Rivo, the strange man bashed the journalist's head in, then stuffed his body into a metal amplifier box. Talk about strange. He then took the box to a storage location, told the folks there that he or someone else would pick it up in a few days. After a bit, those at the storage facility noticed a strong odor coming from the box, and they notified the popo. Homicide detectives were called and began an investigation after finding the decaying body inside. Del Rivo became the prime suspect after detectives talked with the victim's family members, but the investigators never had a chance to talk with the man. The day after dropping the box off at the storage facility, Del Rivo was involved in an unrelated high-speed chase with the police in neighboring Utah. A Utah trooper clocked his car at 70 miles per hour, gave chase, reaching speeds of 140 miles per hour.
He probably thought they were onto him.
No doubt. Del Rivo was thrown from his car after he lost control and crashed after hitting a second set of speed spikes that were dropped out there.
Ooh.
He was dead on the scene.
Oh.
Las Vegas police learned of the wreck while they were investigating the murder.
That's karma right there. That's exactly what that is.
The police had not even
they didn't even
called
know.
at that time because it was just the next day after he dropped the body or the box off.
Did you say the victim was a writer?
He was a journalist. He's well known in the area. It's local stuff.
No one reported him missing? Like no one?
Well, it was just overnight.
Okay, well, that's true, I guess.
It was just overnight when they dropped the body. And I don't know how long. It's Las Vegas. You know, it's an outdoor storage facility in early May, mid-May. When
It's hot there.
It's warm. It
Yeah.
happened like the 10th or 12th of May or something like that.
Yeah.
And then a few days later.
Well, that's what I'm saying. For in a few days, they're smelling it. Did no one notice this guy was missing?
He's a freelance journalist.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't report for work.
No, but you would think he had other friends other than the crazy roommate. Family, I'm just saying. But
well, do you have people that you know that you don't see for 2 or 3 days, and does it concern you?
1 or 2, yes.
Okay.
Then I have to hunt for him.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So they have to check in with mama?
Not with mama, but yes.
Well, you're the mama for everybody.
Yeah. Well, then, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they have to go check it in with you. Jesus.
Told you.
What's the
I'm
name
busy.
of Kelly? You know, because I can't think right now. I didn't watch it, but what was the name of the sitcom with the two guys who live together, Oscar and Felix, or
Yeah.
Oh,
the odd
Odd
couple.
Couple.
The Odd Couple? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it made me think of when you first started. Yeah. The Odd Couple.
That guy was just unhinged.
Oh yes, I would say
maybe,
so.
All right, Chris Miller. It's we got a burning question. You know, the Ospreys, they played 3 games so far. We've got a question.
Yes, we do.
A really heavy duty question for
It's
you.
a need
Ospreys
to
up
know.
3-0. We want to know.
Yeah, we didn't start out like that last year. I don't
We
think.
need your
No, we
predictions.
Oh.
So far,
come on,
it's
bring it
3-0.
on.
Well, I have a question about that team anyway. So,
Okay.
well, let's do the weather real quick. Because,
Offshore today, calling for easterly winds around 10 knots, east 2 to 3 feet, close together, making it seem rougher than it will actually be. Uncomfortable for smaller boaters, of course. Sounds a light chop. tomorrow. Southeasterly winds around 10 knots, seas 2 to 3 feet. They're 8 seconds apart tomorrow. It will seem a whole lot smoother. Sounds and rivers a light chop. And on Thursday, southeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop.
Today, sunny, high of 84. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 60. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 84, but 17-mile-an-hour gusts. Tomorrow night, mostly 66. And on Thursday, mostly cloudy, but a high of 80. 50% chance of rain on Thursday. So,
well, this little mass is out there. The little,
well, and I wondered,
coast. It's a whole mass along most of the coast, eastern seaboard, half of it.
Where's my map?
It's over there. It's just
okay. I can't see it. Yeah.
But,
I got, well, while we're waiting on Chris to answer our questions, I got like 3 things that popped up. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's just yellow. Okay.
But, oh, I thought you were looking at the phone. I go, when did it turn you?
No, I'm talking. Rayford pulled it up on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Do y'all remember? Where did you tell me Zebulon was again?
Near Rocky Mount, isn't it?
Yeah, not general part of the world,
yeah.
the northeastern part of the state.
So you remember Zebulon had the town manager and assistant manager resign a couple of months ago because they talked about there was an issue or they couldn't, something wasn't right and shadiness going on. I'm paraphrasing. Last night, it had a commissioner meeting. One of the commissioners stood up and resigned, talking about we don't have any leadership. I don't have any confidence, and she's unhappy with how the board was working together. And she said it's the way we're working, the way we're handling motions, putting things on hold, not getting through a lot. We've been without a manager for a year now. That's not true because she said there's no sign of one yet. We need strong leadership. Because the town manager, Gilbert Todd, and the assistant town manager, Kellyanne Williams, stepped down within days of each other. And WIL says resignations were part of a series of leadership turnovers. Now, the lady that resigned looked at the other commissioners and told them they needed to step down too.
Oh, no.
She said, there is no doubt in my mind that this board is not interested in what is best for the people, but mainly are interested in their own power and their own political careers. So apparently earlier this year, the citizens started a petition that called on half the board of commissioners to resign. And they said those that were not up for election this fall, they wanted them specifically to submit their formal resignations. So by yesterday's board meeting, well, she's the only one that did. The petition, they spelled it out. The citizens just so angry. They said persistently vacant town positions, the backlog of meeting minutes, the refusal to approve a development without proper cause, and the decision to hire somebody, I can't pronounce her name, twice, despite employee claims in previous roles. So they didn't like, apparently this person keeps getting hired, but they're causing hate and discontent in whatever job they had at the city. And she's like, we need your overhaul. Well, the community members, they cheered when she resigned. And then she told the community, sign up to run for election. We need people to care about this. We need things to go better. Now, she's been a commissioner for 24 years. So, but I'm telling you, it's a hot mess over there.
Well, you've been keeping up with the Snow Hill Police Department. Mm-hmm. The Board of Commissioners there in Snow Hill were talking about shutting them down permanently.
They were planning to shut them down.
As of last Wednesday, they had voted to shut them down 3-2. This past Monday night, Monday afternoon, they had a meeting and they voted unanimously to go ahead and continue to keep them open right now. But that was after U.S. Congressman Don Davis came down because, he used to be the mayor of Snow Hill. They have a lot of stuff going on in Snow Hill. I know it's a small town police department, but you consider closing them down?
I'll bet you 10 to 1. I don't know. What do they have? 5, 6 people, maybe.
Right.
10, perhaps. I mean, Curie Beach, we had 8. But that was in Curie Beach with one traffic light. And that was in the 90s. I would put money on it that when they said, we're going to shut them down, that they did not take They did not say we're going to cut that budget out too. So therefore,
Right.
we will give you taxpayers a refund.
Oh,
I'll bet you the
exactly.
taxpayer said, well, wait a minute. How much money am I going to get back when you do this?
Well, they were good. Their plans were to contract with the Greene County Sheriff's
Well, I
Office.
know.
And
Did
don't
Greene
but
County
still.
say we can't because we got
No,
our
they
own
probably
thing?
said we can. I mean, they have to provide law
Right.
enforcement
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
If
but
they're
that's
called,
been
they're
an
gonna-
ongoing.
If they're called, they're going to respond.
Mhm.
What towns like Pink Hill, Kelly and I like the drama in Pink Hill. They were quite dramified for a
Apparently-
while.
Zebulon's competing with Pink Hill for some, some awards or something. Now, Pinellas County, Florida. This right here will make you mad. I
love-
sent this to you yesterday.
Yeah, I love the stories coming out of Pinellas.
Yeah,
Go
but
ahead.
this one right here will make you, Rayford, I think we need to take a drive.
Is this better than Polk County?
Well,
No.
what I'm
I
about
like-
to tell you is not. I
I
wish
don't know.
the Polk County, nobody can beat Sheriff Grady Judd. You just can't. He's like the best.
When you know
Um,
the sheriff of the county's name in another state,
I follow this
you
guy religiously. His
are
press
addicted.
conferences are epic.
And then the
have you thought about getting
videos.
counseling?
This guy is amazing.
Oh,
I want to
he
meet him.
is.
Like, I want to take a vacation down there, literally just to go meet this
It
guy.
was just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Well, it was
he-
a month ago where he put out the
that-
videos that were
yes.
taken from the shopping mall
yes.
of the little thugs going in
And
and
he
shit.
tore it
and he-
down. Oh, my
oh,
God, he's the
man.
greatest thing. I love this guy.
I love this guy.
Okay, now Pinellas County.
All right,
That's kind of,
Pinellas.
we need to road trip it.
What's the
Rayford.
name of the nearest city? We're in the city there.
Why do I know this?
Uh,
I do
I
know.
forgot which county.
I'll
look it
up.
I've heard of it, but
I have
I think
too.
it's in the south central part of the state, but I'm not sure.
It's not Tampa.
No, it's not that
No.
far. I don't think it's that far.
I don't know, but let me tell you what. Lee,
Okay.
you tell us where we got to go.
Okay,
Rayford,
I'm looking at
we
it.
can road trip it. We just need an alibi.
Clearwater.
Yeah. I thought
Okay,
it was
yep,
near
there we
Tampa.
go.
Yeah.
It's north of Tampa.
Okay.
I'm ready.
This past Friday, as
Why?
in 3-4 days ago, a 62-year-old man named Bobby McAfee was arrested by the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Detectives started investigating Mr. McAfee on August 23rd, 2024. Okay. A victim reported a sexual assault that happened when he was 8. Now, they haven't said how old the kid is now, but he's still a kid. Okay. It happened in St. Petersburg area, the unincorporated area, which is why I guess the sheriff's involved. Mr. McAfee pinned the boy to the ground and sexually battered him.
What?
Pinned his arms above his head and sexually battered him. Okay. Mr. McAfee has HIV. Guess what the kid now has?
Assault with a deadly weapon with intent
The
to kill.
thing they charged him with was 1 count of sexual battery of a child less than 12. Now,
What?
I agree. Pinellas County needs to get their act together. I agree with you. Gets better. He's got a $250,000 bond.
It needs to be a lot more than that.
They just need to let me and Ray from road trip it down there.
Mhm.
I mean,
I don't
so
wanna
the
be
poor
around
kid now has HIV.
My gosh.
Well, and see,
Oh,
he's the
Texas.
guy's probably figuring, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to live that long.
But I know back in the day, I've known people have been charged with attempted murder.
Oh,
that had that.
absolutely.
I had a client one time that was
Charged with
charged.
suicide. You
Yeah.
tried that with
I
me
mean,
for one of mine.
But so now
Worst
the
case
poor
you've ever
kid
seen.
has HIV. Now, if this don't want a road trip, I don't know what does. I mean, this don't. But then, I was reading comments on this article, and people were saying, put him in prison because jail will be a little harder to do. It's doable, but prison's going to be easier. Let the population know what he did, and they say in 2 days he'll be taken care of. It'll be harder to do in jail, they said, than in prison. They said
Well,
prison
you
will
don't
be
have
easier.
you don't have the mix up in the
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
inmates getting
yeah. Jail's a lot.
one-on-one.
County jail was more controlled than a prison's going to be.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. They said, can you imagine? First of all, I think the bond is crap. It needs to be higher. 2, I actually don't need to be bond. 2, the reason why the police are saying information, because the victim's identity. They're worried
Oh,
about the
okay.
kid. Yeah. I'm going to tell you what. So then we need this guy. I sent Lee this information on this guy. And I didn't hear about this until yesterday. The The man's name is Ricky Wassenaar. I know I probably didn't say that right. He was in the Arizona State Prison, the Cimarron unit in Tucson. He was actually in prison. Okay. He claims, to be fair, he gave an interview with, this has become such a big deal with the media. I don't know how he was allowed to do that, but anyway.
They can request jailhouse interviews. And sometimes
he said, I told the guards I was going to do this before I did it. Okay. He said to be very fair, this shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody. So he decided he hated child molesters.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So he killed three of them.
Rent him out.
He started a prison fight in April and killed 3 of them. But he was mad. He's 62 because he said it was April 4th. He was aiming for, quote, a higher body count. He said, my goal was 7, at least 7. He said, I was trying to do 13, a baker's dozen. But he only got 3. First of all, he's been in prison since 87.
Why did they stop him?
I don't know.
Did he just get tired?
So he got incarcerated in 87 for armed robbery. But then apparently in 2004, I never heard, maybe I just don't remember this, there was a giant attempted, infamous, as they put it, jailbreak at the Lewis complex. It turned into a 15-day standoff. He was part of that.
Lord.
Okay. So obviously he got
I remember
more
one
time.
somewhere. We had one in North Carolina too, but
so wherever
in the
that
70s, 60s.
So he decided, I guess, sitting there thinking, living his life, I don't know, that he just wanted to target inmates who were convicted child sex offenders. Happens a lot. So he said his first target was a guy who had kidnapped and raped and murdered a 15-year-old little girl. He said, I did society a favor by killing that maggot. Well, he ain't wrong. So apparently he told them the way the prison is situated, when they, when we have meals, you lock us in. He calls it a chute. He says a cage outside the chow hall. Once we're locked in there, there's nowhere to run. We're just all there.
Yeah.
He said where he went wrong is not waiting until the chute was locked. He was so excited he was about to kill some pedophiles and child molesters that he forgot. He got
ahead of himself.
Giddy, and he was not able to. He started before the chute was locked, so he couldn't kill the 13 he wanted because he only got to 3 before they got to him. But he said, he says, I gave the prison guards fair warning of the plans to murder inmates who were child molesters, and in November 2024, his cellmate was killed or died. So they found the guy was 81. So they said it was natural causes. He said, oh no, I killed him. I mean,
crazy.
He strangled him. And he was impressed that they didn't accuse him of it. I guess because he was 81. I don't know.
Just wrote it off as natural death.
And he said the inmates couldn't believe it because everybody knew he killed him. And they're like,
what was he in prison for?
Originally armed robbery.
Right.
And then because he was involved in that attempted jailbreak that involved like maybe some guards killed, a female guard got raped. It was like a whole big deal. So he clearly got extra time.
Yeah.
And so the inmates were like, what is happening? And he said, man, he told them, I guess he gathered them all together and said, there's higher powers at work. It's going to recur. He said, and he kept telling them, go ahead and put somebody else in my cell. He started with that and then worked his way to his little list.
He wanted to be alone.
He said killing his roommate was a rehearsal. He said, of course, he says, if you're a child molester, if you hurt children, you abuse children, because the reporter said, are you a monster?
Yeah.
He said, well, I don't think I am. He said, but yeah, okay. If you're a child molester, you hurt children, you abuse children, I'm their monster. I'm their monster. So they charged him now with 3 counts of first-degree murder.
Yeah, well, he won't be interacting with any more inmates.
No, and the other ones probably think he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, the one that don't, because I think, and the comments, people were like, give him a medal. They wanted to send him some commissary money. I mean, prison justice. people are excited about it. But I mean, he clearly thought that one out.
You know, we can sit back and talk about it. Yeah, we don't have a problem with seeing predators like that go away. I don't have a problem with it.
No problem at all.
It's
No.
not something that we can condone. We have to safeguard the other
Agreed.
inmates in there, because when you start having vigilante justice in a prison,
Yeah.
where does it stop?
And I think,
So
yeah.
how about you get down to the guy smokes cigarettes, and I don't like the guy blowing smoke in my face.
Mhm.
Just where does this stop? I don't like this guy who's my wife was attacked one day when she was, walking the streets, and the guy took her purse from her and he beat her with her purse. Does that warrant killing the man? Well, in this inmate's mind, yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Likely. So, you got to, we cannot allow that to happen. And so there are reasons they're lost. The prisons need to take better care of those situations. I will tell you that. Sometimes you can understand wanting to turn your head, look the other way. You're a human, and you work among some of the scum as a prison guard. You work and you live, you know them. If they just fell off the top of the building onto a bunch of razor wire, it would be okay with you. Take your time, go ahead and finish your lunch before you call medics.
Mm-hmm.
You can say you would do things like that. You don't know what you'll do. You have no clue.
Well, I mean, I just think that he warned them. I mean,
I think I think that they got what they deserved.
yeah,
But
and I agree. But
we
you can't have all the inmates
we
going there and tearing them down. No, I agree 100%
When
because
the inmates are in charge of the asylum,
that's
there's
what's
a problem.
happening. Yes,
And
I
then
mean,
at some point
yeah.
in time, they will band together and decide.
that's what I was thinking.
Let's take it outside.
Let's get that guard over there.
Yeah.
Let's get these ones over here.
You know,
Oh
just-
yeah. Has anybody never watched Mayor of Kingstown? I mean, come on. God, that show is like the greatest show
No,
ever.
apparently not.
You need to watch it, Rayford, if you haven't watched it.
I've got 4,000 channels.
This
in there
one will
right
get
now.
you.
Seriously.
It's on Paramount.
I know.
You
That's
need to
just
watch
one of the 4,000 channels that I've got.
it. So amazing.
I know.
Um,
I can't keep up.
This
I
one-
can't either.
You
One of my
can't beat this
series
show.
came back on. Did you ever watch Georgia and Jenny
No.
on Netflix? Yeah, it's finally back again
I
for its
watched
new
a Hallmark
season.
movie last night.
You did not.
I am so ashamed.
Did it snow?
It's not July yet, but we'll probably have some snow in July.
Oh my god!
I'm so ashamed.
Why? I mean, they're
It was stupid. It was the same old plot all the way through.
yeah.
It really was.
Girl runs into her ex-boyfriend.
No, but the title of it got my attention. Okay.
What was the title?
3 beds, 2 baths, and a ghost.
Okay.
Well, I don't watch those Hallmark Christmas movies because
This is not a Christmas
or
movie.
even the
Yeah,
This is not- nothing to do with
Hallmark's got
Christmas.
some of those like Nancy Drew type detective.
This was not a Nancy Drew
Movies.
type of detective. This was
sounds almost
The
like
title?
a porn movie, Rayford. What are you watching? Playboy Channel.
Hallmark.
Oh,
3 beds,
Mm-hmm.
2 baths.
Mm-hmm.
What would that lead you to believe to begin with? 3 beds, 2 baths. Okay.
Of a house
Yeah.
and a ghost.
3 beds, 2 baths, and a ghost.
So
Well,
they
a
bought a
young-
house with a ghost in it.
A young real estate lady. She just
Mm-hmm.
got her license, working for her daddy. Goes back to her hometown, or is in her hometown, and there's a big old place there that's over 100 years old.
And probably beautiful, but creepy.
Absolutely beautiful, but
Has a ghost in it.
nobody had been living in there for many, many, many years.
Because there was a ghost.
No,
Oh.
there was no report of any ghost. Nobody knew about any ghost or anything. It was just a big old home. Needed a special type of person.
Okay.
Needed some renovation, but not, it was still gorgeous. So her daddy said, we've got this listed, and I'm going to let you be the lead on this. You take the lead on it. So I want you to go in and stuff. She walks in. The first thing that happens while she's in there, this big old picture and it starts out with the 1920s.
Mhm.
The videos do. That's how the show opens.
Okay.
Parties and yada, yada, yada. The 25th birthday for the daughter, the girl who was living there with her parents, who had just dissed her boyfriend because he wasn't good enough for her father.
Okay.
Yada, yada, yada.
Got
So
it. Okay.
you got to understand this was,
Yeah.
let's see him watching.
it was like, okay, now just go. Anyway, Then there's a picture.
Did she
portrait.
look like the girl?
No.
Okay.
Portrait on the wall over there. So she goes over, the new real estate lady. She goes over and she straightens it up and straightens it and comes back, and then she takes it down. And then she turns around and it's back up. Huh?
Oh, that'll make me run out of there.
It
Just
did
saying.
it like 2 or 3 times.
Light a match.
Anyway, it goes on, and finally she walks in and there's a big white blob there, and she's thinking it's one of the other real estate people playing games with her. So she walks over, and so she pulls this white tablecloth looking thing. Well, I don't know what you call it, off, and there's a girl standing there dressed in 1920s, the flapper type costume,
Oh, how lame.
dress.
Okay.
And it was anyway. She can see her. You can see me. Yeah, I can see you, and you can hear me. We're talking. So for 100 years she had lived there. She was killed in a wreck that same night that she dumped her boyfriend, and it was her 25th birthday. Anyway, it goes on from there.
Where do they call each other now?
But
every night and say good night.
Well, I'm impressed you're watching.
I got
something
caught
like
up
that,
in
actually.
it.
Yeah. Well,
Really
something like that will grab you because she can
I was
see the
waiting for
ghost
something dramatic to come
Uh-huh.
because of the ghost being there, but nothing really ever did. It just got to be a sloppy story.
I've lately been
That's why I don't watch Hallmark.
Well,
That's why.
You know, when it popped up Hallmark, I almost banned it, but then the title got me.
That's all I've been
The
watching.
title, they did a good job.
They
on
did
that.
do a great job. That's a cool title. I had to
3
admit.
beds, 2 baths,
and
and a ghost.
a ghost.
Okay. I've been
Okay.
watching a bunch of the free movies on regular YouTube, not YouTube TV. And I've been watching all the weather movies like Tornado and Twister and Ice Storm and Earthquake.
I've watched Ice Storm.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Some of those movies, I can see why they never actually made it onto
You
television.
can't stop watching them.
I know you can't.
Yeah.
They're so stupid. And like, you know that it's a C grade movie when the characters are wearing the same clothes throughout the whole movie.
Mhm.
You know.
Well, that's true too. That's
And that
budget.
and
Well, the Hallmark
Yeah.
Christmas movies are the ones
Yeah.
that I cannot stand.
I hate them. I won't
Let
watch
me
them.
tell you why.
The same story.
No, I don't care about that. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because it's December,
Mm-hmm.
it's snowing,
and there's no
and the grass is green.
Yeah.
All the leaves are on all the trees, regardless of
Yeah.
what kind of trees
You
they
know,
are.
Hallmark's got a budget now. They can't put real snow out there. They have to put the fake stuff.
Shoot the mess a year in advance when it's really snowing.
Could you imagine the actors
Duh.
are out there all bundled up in this heavy outerwear,
Uh-huh.
but yet when they talk, there's no, you know,
That's the other thing.
yeah,
Nothing.
there's nothing you can tell, you know, and
You know,
and-
even when I was doing the photo work for this company that manufactured men's shirts for the most part, they called it Block Shirt Company to begin with. But all this stuff in there, we shot it a year in advance. I shot it turned out to be in effect a year in advance. We shot it the same season with the short sleeve shirts and the summer wear, the bathing suits were going to be released for the next season.
right.
It was a year in advance. The weather was warm when I shot the warm weather gear. So that's how far the lead time was. Can you imagine? And I've done some for like Belks where, you know, you're doing newspaper ads and it's kind of like now coming up real fast. Like, so it's warm outside and I'm shooting you in outer weather or, you know, snow type stuff. No, they wanted it outside. The background didn't matter in those cases. But the poor models, the ladies, when you're doing swimwear in February, because that was the lead time.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get the hair dryer up to warm up.
That was the lead time for some of the stuff that was when it really got. Ooh,
Not that you didn't enjoy all that.
I got paid for it.
Well,
okay.
we've got some news out of JPD.
Yes, body cams
They're
are on
getting
the
body
way.
cams,
Yes.
Yay!
They're going to have 55 in use by September, and they didn't increase the budget. They, you know, I have said for years I thought they needed to have them because all they had was the dash cams.
Right.
Yep.
And they said Chief Phelps is saying we're just moving the money that we had for the in-car ones over to the body cams.
I know when I heard the story, I was
Yeah.
like, well, kudos to Jacksonville Public Safety
Yeah.
for doing that and not raising our taxes.
I agree. I think it's awesome.
I think
Yeah.
it is awesome.
Yeah.
Nice work.
I
Nice
will
work.
say though,
It's
Kelly,
needed. And
I
maybe,
got-
maybe we could get some of those funny videos on that we'll be able to watch on from Jacksonville instead of from
yeah.
everywhere else.
Oh, John Legato's got a new one.
Tell me. I
Really?
haven't watched it.
Oh God, I'll have to look up the name of it, but it just
didn't
came out
notify
last
me.
night.
Okay. Well, I hadn't.
I
had
would
the
just like, yeah,
notification.
I'm
Because I
telling you.
subscribe to it and I get the new listings too.
Yes. I will say though that I finally pulled my mail out of the mailbox this morning on the way here. And my homeowner's
last
insurance renewal came in. It's going up $200. $200 my policy has gone up. Over the new rates increase.
That's what, less than $20 a year?
What?
That's
If it went
I
up
mean, a
200
month. That's less than $20 a month.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it does.
$20 to buy a dozen eggs. I need that $20.
Then quit eating eggs.
Yeah.
You know what? I have
You know, if you
I
go
need to-
out
I
to the
need to
beach,
check
you can
ours.
find some seagull eggs.
no, but I just warning, when you get your renewal, well, don't you better just sit down and have a drink ready or something and right now the rate bureau is wanting to increase the insurance rates on automobiles. So we're going to have to look forward to that too.
Yikes.
I think we're going to kidnap our insurance commissioner when we get him down here. We want
Yeah.
to let him leave
Yes.
until he says no.
Need to call him, find out when he's coming.
Yes.
He needs to come down.
Yesterday was just a busy day all the way around, apparently, for everybody. The deputies got involved in a high-speed chase.
What deputies?
Anzo County.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard about that one. What?
Wait, wasn't that over the weekend or was
No,
it
was
Monday?
yesterday morning.
Yesterday. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And it started, they got at 10:30 in the morning, they got a report of a stolen car on Burgar Highway, Mole Hill Road area.
Highway 53. Y'all.
Chase began,
Yeah, just
With-
guess where it ended up, Rayford.
yeah,
She'll tell you.
speeds between 90 and 100 miles.
Mhm.
Ended up coming to a conclusion in Hunters Creek.
In Hunters Creek?
Yeah.
Piney Green.
Like in
or
the
was
water?
it- wasn't it the Piney Green
And
Hunters?
the
Creek?
Hunters Creek, the Piney Green part of Hunters Creek. Yeah.
Not in the water, though.
Oh, no, it
You
was.
said in Hunters Creek. I was
Well, I
thinking,
mean,
okay.
in the
that was-
I'm sorry,
that would
Hunters
be
Creek
cool.
neighborhood. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry, Hunters Creek neighborhood. Three
that's a long,
underage
that's a long
kids.
chase.
Three
Juveniles,
underage kids,
Raver.
juveniles, were arrested.
Figures.
It's a
One
wonder.
of them, I think, lived in
Why
that
weren't they
area.
in school?
It's a wonder they didn't get killed.
I agree completely. And that's what I'm saying. Why these kids are not
How
in
old
school?
were they juvenile?
They just saying underage and they're not any
Okay,
information.
were they, I mean, do they have a driver's license? Any of them charged with NOL? No operator's license?
I don't think they gave a list of all the
They haven't
charges.
given. Let me check the sheriff's page. But as of yesterday, earlier, they had not given only that it made roadblocks. So when it
Oh, yeah,
makes
yeah.
that, everybody's
Well, I saw the
Yeah,
story, but
about
I figured Rayford would get the
I
press
didn't,
release.
I didn't even look at that.
yeah they
Well, maybe I'll check my email.
Maybe you ought to check your email.
yeah, because they put it out there. So, but I mean, that is they're lucky they didn't hurt somebody. They're lucky they
Yeah,
didn't get hurt.
That brings
Three
back,
juveniles. It's a wonder they didn't get killed. I mean,
Yeah.
I just
it brings back bad times for me.
And
yes.
but some people were, on roadblock. That just gets entertaining. If you want some entertainment,
No,
sometimes
it's
read
not
the comments
entertaining.
on that.
Oh,
These
you
people
did
act
roadblock
out.
entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
the
Well,
comments act. People just.
the one thing about roadblocks, if there is something that has occurred, at least and you can stay away from that area, go
Yeah.
a different direction. Some of the comments on that page get way out of hand.
I
but
don't, I,
it's
don't
social
see-
media.
I don't see a thing about it. They didn't put
I
it.
don't have anything
I
from
saw it.
public information, folks.
Yeah. No.
Did you get
Trevor.
off of news, local news?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I saw
I think
it.
it's yeah. So, but it's all it said. It didn't say what they charged. Only it was three. Underage was the term used.
Mhm.
That
So-
must be your phone that keeps. Bzz, bzz,
Not mine.
Zzz,
Mine's right here.
something keeps
Zzz.
vibrating.
It's a
I'm not
mosquito.
going there.
Did y'all see that mosquito that I sent you a picture of?
Yes, that was the one that was on Kelly's head that
I know
morning.
that.
And I was just
killed
trying
him.
to get her attention
Mhm.
and to let
And
her
he's making
know.
his face. I'm like, what is she doing? Like, all I can see was she's like, I'm like, what
It was
happened?
right
Yeah.
on the top
Yeah.
of your head. So I was trying to
Then
like,
that's when you finally do.
if
I'm
you
like,
could
okay.
just kind of,
Yeah.
because I knew if it came down any lower, you were going to freak out.
Mhm. No, I would have just. I ended up killing it with my hands. I wouldn't
Yeah,
have
you
had it,
did.
killed it. Nice.
Now you're making me itch.
Look.
Just-
Look.
that's a yellow pad.
Yeah.
So those are, that thing is
Look at
bigger than
this.
the lines.
Look at that. That'll carry shockwave away. That thing's huge.
Did you see what the thing that they pry into you, that they drill for oil in, they drill for blood? Did you see how long that sucker is right there? Look at that.
Oh
That's
my
what they
gosh.
stick in you right there.
Ew, creepy looking.
Uh-huh. He didn't
Yeah.
have the chance. I felt him when he touched down. And when he touched down, he stayed here forever. Forever and ever.
Oh, now you're making me itch like crazy.
Who do we have?
Let me see. It's Chris Marks.
Oh, I got
Hi, Chris.
Good morning, terrific trio. How are you?
Wow, I
Terrific
like that.
trio.
Terrific trio.
Well, I know
Gruesome
trio
threesome.
Yeah. Trio, threesome. Okay, yeah, that works. Yeah.
I say gruesome threesome.
Gruesome threesome. Never in this lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
I hope all's doing well. Wanted to give a quick update to all our group members for Wreath on Our Fallen Veterans. Some actual numbered numbers.
Yeah.
They kind of speak loudly, and I did this because of a meeting last night I attended and gave
I'm waiting for.
organization. Well, here we go. All right, the number of wreaths that we have for our two cemeteries is 1,799.
Wow.
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 So that's almost,
That's 1,800.
yes.
1,800, and
Don't
so
do math.
that anyone wants to do the math, that puts us at approximately
I was going to say a
6,000 and some
fourth of the way.
before we get to there. And our cutoff December 1st, so not much time. But to break it down, I do want to let people know that Onslow Memorial Park, we've been able to raise 79 wreaths for the
That's
1,500
nice.
veterans.
Yay. Okay. Well, you'll have a couple
Wonderful.
more coming. I can tell you that. So
Well,
Just-
I
just
know
hang
that.
in there.
You ready for it?
hang in there for that one.
Yep,
And the other one will have a
and,
couple more coming too.
And
Yes.
then we have
I'm going to donate some more.
1,726 over at the Coastal Carolina State
No,
Veterans Cemetery. So
that's nice.
we're still making some progress. Wreath on Our Fallen Veterans going to have another fundraiser.
Okay.
We're going to have it in the fall.
Okay.
It'll be announced first on this program,
Okay.
as we always do. But I will say it has to do with wheels and people, and so I'm sure everybody-
Dudes riding motorcycles.
I got to tell you, it was so much fun, and the Rolling Thunder NC Chapter 5 was out
Love
there.
them.
American Legion was out there, and I failed to mention some of the other groups that do it. But if I may just borrow some time, and hopefully one day that there'll be an appetizer on here, New River Harley Davidson is
Good place. Good people.
oh my gosh, those people! I talked to Tim there, who kind of coordinates these things, and the company started back in 2004. They have done so much for charitable organizations, and this business just gives. Of course, they get customers. That's what it's all about. But they're very supportive of our military veterans. And it is just so wonderful to see so many people out there that were military. We did get to pin one Vietnam veteran who was out there riding. And I really, really, really want to reach out and touch the hearts of our business people.
Yes.
Really do. I got to do an interview Friday promoting it, and my comment will continue to repeat. Our community is very much behind Wreath.
We are. The whole community is very much behind it. But here's something that I would. It could be done if the automobile group here, the car dealers in Jacksonville, those guys speak to each other. They're not and they're in competition, well, of course, for the buyers. My car, come buy my car. I can do this and this and this. I understand all that, but they're friendly people. They're friendly with each other.
Yes, they
From
are.
everything that I've seen. So why don't well, I don't care whether all of them do or not. I would love for all of them to do it, but if they had some organization or somebody at the top, or even if every car dealer in town, new and or used, if they would just agree that between now and December, or let's say between now and why don't we do it for Veterans Day? 11
That would be
at
awesome.
1100.
Yes.
Okay. Between now and 1100 on the 11th of November, every new or used car that they sell, they take $17 out of their money and they buy a wreath.
They can afford it.
Out of every car that is sold between now and November 11th, even if one car dealer did it, I'm sure it would amount up to a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if all of them did it, if 5 of them did it, 10 of them did it, we'd have enough wreaths to go around for a couple of years. No doubt in my mind.
We would.
How easy would that be to
from your
do? And
mouth-
they'll never miss $17 out of the sale of a $50,000 car. They'll never miss it.
From your mouth to their ears.
I would hope so. You know.
Well, they've all been visited. They've all been given very special packages. It has a lot of businesses, so I don't want to just mention the car dealers. Just
Well, I'm
many
doing that
businesses.
because we got a lot of them here, and they do a great job, and they sell to a lot of Marines. If you don't believe that, you let those Marines be deployed on a special mission for 8 months and see what happens. It's kind of like the barber shops and the pawn shops. They don't have any
It's
business.
very interesting. To that time, that very horrible time of
Yeah.
Desert Shield, Desert Storm, where all of a sudden Jacksonville
Was
almost
empty.
became a very small, empty town. But our businesses do support many charities. Whether or not this is one that they would like to, I leave it up to them.
Of course.
But I would want to.
But it would be great.
I want to. It would. But I want to mention something else very special coming up in about 3 days.
Okay.
School closes for the summer.
School's out for summer.
As of Friday.
Friday.
Mhm.
Yep.
Friday's the last day of school, and for that, and I know that Lee will get it posted, and we'll talk about it some more. But these young children are going to be very excited
Mhm.
Oh,
on
you're
Friday,
right.
as they are, as they are the first day of school, but for a different reason on Friday because they're out. School's out for summer,
Mhm.
and people, please be careful. Watch for these excited children
Yeah.
jumping off the bus and racing across.
Because they're not going to pay
Get
any.
home.
They'll pay no attention to the bus driver at that point in time. I was one of those bus drivers. I know. 2 days of the
Well,
year
yes, it
were
is.
the worst 2 days of the year for bus drivers, on edge. The day before,
Yeah.
the last day going into the Christmas holidays, and the last day of school. Those
They don't,
road
they don't lose the first day of school, do they?
No, is even drag. Get aboard the bus. No, I'm not going. Come and get aboard the bus and sit down.
And I know it's going to be a very special, busy time.
Yep, it will be.
Kelly, you probably do your business, maybe increase. I don't know,
Yeah, for the parents.
for the parents. Now, what do I do with them?
Yeah.
And
Oh, but
Lee with 4 TVs. Maybe you can watch Looney Tunes.
I've actually called
on
Chris,
your
or
TV.
he's called me while I've got all my TVs going.
really?
And I'm going like, you got to watch these tornado guys. Their vehicle just got hit by a tornado. They spun 360 degrees, and I'll send you the link. And oh my gosh.
Chris better
it's
be
a
than
very
me.
special, yeah, but it is a very special time on Friday for the students
Yep.
to
Yeah.
get a little break, and then let's watch out for them during the summertime because they're going to be hopefully not inside playing computer games, but outside enjoying Mother Nature.
Well,
Oh, God, I hope so.
Chris brings
You
up
know,
a good point about school letting out Friday. We've got all these graduations coming up and graduation parties. And, that's something else that every parent should think about because, we've heard stories in the past of parties gone awry and someone getting hurt. And so I just hope everybody's careful. I know Jacksonville High School personally did their fundraiser for Project Graduation, to give the kids a place to go. And I should say students, a place to go and to party all night. So, and I'm sure all the high schools have done something like that, but gosh.
It's a safe environment. That's always a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know the schedule of all the high schools graduation nights, days, how they do it anymore. But be careful on those because there's a lot of crowds that attend those. And thank you to law enforcement because they got a heck of a job trying to get people in and out of there in a safe
I used
manner.
to work in White Oak.
But I thank you, partners on occasion, and our friends forever, Live and Local Real Talk, for all you do for Reese on our fallen veterans. I thank you very much.
Well, we'll see you Friday.
Yeah, we want it. We want to. This thing needs to be put in. We need to put a lid on it very soon.
Yes.
We need to have all 8,000 of them ready to rock and roll.
Oh, he's 1,800 ahead of last year's and the year before.
Yeah,
And the year before.
Yes, we are.
And the
Good
year
start.
Yes,
before.
but every wreath will count towards one more, and I just want to thank you folks for your efforts because we couldn't do it without you. And I'll see you all in the studio on Friday.
You got it. Sounds like a winner. Looking forward to it.
Have a great day.
Thank you,
too,
Chris.
Chris.
Take care.
Speaking of Chris, where's Chris Miller?
I don't know.
Miller, where are you?
We may
We're
have
going
to
to call your
call
butt in a
him.
minute because I'm sitting here with this question. The
We have-
Ospreys are
Yes.
up.
I'm going to write it down.
Well, I've got a question about them too for him.
Do you think that they picked the three teams that they knew they could beat?
I texted him. He's not
I
returning.
want to
we-
know what's going on.
I thought the schedule was set in advance,
Yeah,
like regular.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Usually
Not-
he's right on when I text him. He's right on texting me back. I'm like, where are you at? All right.
Wake it up. Wake it
Let
up.
me make sure I text the right one.
Lord, you probably didn't text the wrong person.
No, that's the right one.
Okay.
That terrorist attack in Boulder over the weekend was not a spur of the moment event. You know that, right?
No,
In fact,
he
according to
planned
the
that.
idiot arrested in connection with the Molotov cocktail firebombing of men and women marching in support of Israelis still being held in captivity by Hamas terrorists, he had planned the whole thing for a year. So far, federal agents have charged Mohammed Sabri Solomon with a hate crime involving actual or perceived race, religion, or national origin. The 45-year-old excuse for a real man is also charged with first-degree murder, crimes against at-risk adults and the elderly, assault, criminal attempt to commit assault, and Class 1 and Class 2 felonies, and use of explosives or incendiary devices during a felony. The authorities said he threw explosives into a crowd Sunday in Boulder as a pro-Israel group called Run for Their Lives participated in a gathering advocating for Hamas to release Israeli hostages. Federal charging documents state that he threw two lit Molotov cocktails at individuals at that gathering. The FBI said it was a targeted terror attack that left 8 people, ages 52 to 88, with injuries, including one in critical condition. None of the victims had died or they hadn't confirmed it to us anyway, as of yesterday. That's the confusing part of this whole story. No one has died, but Solomon is already charged with murder.
Well,
I don't understand.
what?
Witnesses say the man threw the Molotov cocktail, Free Palestine, as the firebombs ignited in the crowd of people. When police grabbed him, they found a plastic container, with 14 additional bottles and containing a clear liquid that would be gasoline, all having a red rag cloth sticking out of them. They also recovered, this is something that got me, I had not heard this one. They recovered a backpack style weed sprayer with a liquid that police believe
Right.
Could have been used as a makeshift flamethrower. Not sure how well that would have gone over. To me, it looks like an unintended suicide device. God. I mean, I've got one of those backpack sprayers out there. I cannot imagine filling that with gasoline and start spraying it and lighting the spray that's coming out. No. I don't want that much. I don't want any fire near me with a backpack, 2 gallons of gasoline on my back. No. Somebody that. It sounds more like a redneck Bubba type of flamethrower to me. When police arrived at his Colorado Springs home, did you read this part? Solomon's wife was leaving.
I'd be leaving too.
She
I'd already
surrendered
be
her
gone.
cell phone. She said belonged to her husband, but was also used by other family members. A lot is being made these days about Solomon's status in the United States. Like so many others, it would be scary to know exactly how many Solomon came to the United States with a visa. That visa expired. He was given a work visa then that allowed him to stay here a bit longer. Not sure if he was actually working or not. That visa expired. He's not the only missing in action immigrant still hanging around this country without legal status. He arrived after a couple earlier tries were denied, was granted a visa to stay for a specific period, was given another visa, like I said, it too expired. But like the thousands of others with visas, their visas, so-called permission cards, have run out. They've expired. He and thousands of others stayed on. How many others are there?
Good question.
We don't know.
Yeah.
They don't tell us.
You don't know. They may not know.
Well, ICE
To
has
me-
suddenly shifted.
To me, in my mentality, being cops, I'm looking for low-hanging fruit from time to time. You know what I mean? Sergeant's on your butt. You haven't reached your quota. You haven't done enough. So, okay, I know where this guy here, I know he's got a visa that's expired. There's a list here.
Yeah.
Immigration, INS needs to put out a list of all the people whose visas have expired. And just like they do in the Jacksonville Daily News and other newspapers, when you haven't paid your property taxes, you run a list of names, right? Why don't they do that for people whose visas have expired?
Well, federal immigration officials have now started to make that their first priority.
So
their
why don't you
target
change
now.
that instead of have finally
Wow.
made that an issue?
Yeah.
Chances are pretty good the feds know where these people are living, many of them. I mean, this dude was living in a house or rented house or whatever. They knew where he was living. Why didn't they go get him before? Obviously, no one seems to care. Why didn't mount a campaign and pick them up, send them packing? They're not terrorists. Not all of them. At least we have no reason to believe they are. But they're here illegally and need to go home. No need to send them to South America for safekeeping in some jail down there. That's stupid. Unless they're from there. Take whatever money they have and buy them a one-way ticket to wherever they came from. Simple enough. You think if they're living here, they've got money. Seize their assets and buy them a ticket with the money that they've got. Mr. President, you can then resume heavy-handed techniques to get those who don't want to be found. Many of those are known gang members. They're here illegally. I mentioned heavy-handed techniques. I don't have a problem with it. That's not a dig on the current administration. Pack them up. Send them to the border. You don't have to send them back to where they came from. They came from the border. As far as we know, they came across the border. That was their point of entry. That was the point in time when they broke our law. Send them back to the scene of the crime. If they're not terrorists or gangbangers, just stop paying our money, my money. Don't give them any more. Use just enough of that money for bus tickets to the southern border with armed guards on the bus and wish them well as they leave the buses.
I agree. I'm for
Bus
it.
them, send them south. We bus kids all over the place. Want something to pick on about buses, school buses too? Being one who drove one. Front of my bus had 67 capacity. Maximum capacity, 67 kids. There are enough seats in there for 54.
Mhm.
They allow you to have 13 people standing in a school bus designed with
Yeah, back in the day, that's the way it was.
three people
They don't
per
even have
seat. 3 people
seatbelts.
per
Right.
seat. There were enough seats for
Yeah.
54 people. That's 18.
I took the
18
course
seats.
past it and was just at the point of starting to drive the school bus when I got a job elsewhere. So I never drove.
There are enough seats for 54 kids at 3 per seat,
Right.
but they allow you to have 67 on a bus. That means 13 are going to be standing.
Nope.
And there was never a morning that I had only 67. What do? Leave these beside the road that I'm supposed to be taking to school? Can't do it. Pick them up. You have to fill out the report every day when you get to school as a bus driver. How many do you have on the bus? 83. You can only have 67. What am I going to do with the others? Leave them there?
I can start sleeping 5 minutes more now every morning starting next week. I won't have to be stopping for school buses.
Anyway,
right.
if it's good enough for our kids to put up a
Mhm.
school bus designed with 54, with enough seating capacity for 54 at 3 per seat and 13 standing,
Right.
we can pick them up, pick up the illegals here, and we can take them to the border, and we can have 67 in that equivalent of a school bus. We're not going to be using all those buses this summer. Let the federal government rent them.
I don't
from
want
the
them on
school
our
system.
kids' school buses.
Oh, that'd be fine.
Couldn't
Put them
get
on
to
there with an
Jones.
armed guard. That's not a big deal.
No,
Have to mess up
leave
the
our
school bus, then
buses
they're
alone.
going to have to clean it when they get there before we let them cross the border. They'll be happy to get to the southern border if we pick them up in New York, and by the time they finish riding that bus all the way there at 35 miles an hour.
Wow. Remember, talking about school buses, you remember that bad school bus accident in Snow Hill 40 years ago?
No,
It was on May 31st, 1985.
no.
Yeah, I just brought it back up because I saw it, but it was according to the National Transportation Safety Board. The crash occurred about 3:20 p.m. when a tractor semi-trailer going north collided with the school bus and another vehicle on a curve.
What year?
1985. 6 children ages
How am I
10 to
supposed remember that
13.
far back?
You're Mr. News, man. You know everything.
Uh-uh.
You always right on. Well, anyway, 6 children ages 10 to 13, including the driver of the truck, were killed in the crash, and more than 25 injured.
And it collided with a what?
A semi-tractor trailer.
Well, it doesn't matter who was at fault. The school bus lost.
It was the failure of the truck driver to keep his vehicle right of center lane, possibly due to a momentary lapse of attention caused by fatigue or an epileptic seizure. Wow. That was, I vaguely remember
Can you
it.
get a driver's license if you're prone to seizures?
No.
I'm talking about commercial
it-
license.
I
don't
know.
Oh, we'll have to ask Timmy next time we talk with him.
Yeah. I think
And
Tim
that
and I
was
talked-
1985. That's been 40 years ago.
I had a family member kind of outer circle that has epilepsy, and he's never been allowed to, even though I can't say that with the advances they have in medicine nowadays, but he was an epileptic, and he
suffered
was
from
never,
epileptic seizures. Right?
yes, he was never allowed to have a license.
Did you ever, anybody in your school ever prone to seizures like that?
I don't recall anybody. I'm sure there probably was, but I never
God.
witnessed it.
Now, that I can remember. That was a long time ago for me, 60 years plus. But that I remember because that was a sight the first time I saw it.
And it makes you think about how blessed you are for those that don't have to deal with
And
that.
the first thing they said, I could hear them. I was, it was one of my classmates, and I could hear say, "Don't let them swallow their tongue."
God bless people that,
I don't know whether that was an old wives' tale or what. I have no clue.
Bigfoot's been surfacing again lately.
What,
was-
what basketball team does he play with?
It was just last seen in Michigan
Mm-hmm.
by a gentleman and his 12-year-old son who were out bow fishing. They said,
fishing?
yeah,
What's bow fishing?
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah,
That's
no.
really a thing?
You've got to be kidding. You've never heard of that?
No.
Bow
You have
fishing.
lived a very sheltered life.
I have lived a life that don't involve bow fishing.
Oh, you were up there in the sticks where they use dynamite, right?
Yeah,
Probably.
that's what we do up there. Yeah.
Dynamite,
hmm
little hand crank generators like the old field radio generators. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Around a couple of wires.
So you just
You've never heard of bow fishing?
you shoot a fish with your bow?
Yeah.
No,
You've heard of gigging, right?
I know what gigging is.
Okay. So what's the difference?
I don't know, but bow fishing seems like a whole lot of work.
You just move your boat along and you see a fish. There's a lot of fish you can see
Yeah, but
under
you got
the
to be
water.
quick. What are you going to do, weather?
Well, they just sit there sometime. You know that.
Anyway, the father and their son were out bow fishing and they
Uh-huh.
heard some rustling in the woods and
Uh-huh.
just thought it was an animal.
Bigfoot?
And then they heard this big thump. Something hit the ground, and when they turned around, his little 12-year-old son said, "Holy bad word,
Stuck
bad
him.
word!" And the father just looked, and they said it was like a 6'2", which to me that's not big,
That's my height.
man, and he was covered completely with hair, and then he
According,
took off into the woods.
you know,
Sure, it wasn't a bear.
it's probably a guy dressed up in a
Yeah.
outfit. You know, they got those
I'm
they've got
just
those
thinking,
Bigfoot uniforms and costumes
Yeah,
everywhere.
what in the world?
I wouldn't put one of those things on and go in the woods with it because there are a
No,
bunch
you
of
get
guys,
shot.
a bunch
Yeah.
of people out there saying, "I got me one."
It's like
There's
No,
no
can't
season
do all
on them,
that.
or open season,
Yeah.
or closed season, or no bag limit, I guess, right?
No, and everybody wants to say they,
Wonder what
killed,
the
they
taste-
got a Bigfoot.
Wonder what
So,
it tastes like. With all of the claims of these big
yeah,
feet,
you ever found one? Yeah,
have you? And today, with
agree with that.
everybody's
one's
got one of
ever
these.
found
Everybody's
one?
got one of
Yeah.
these, right?
right.
And you know, let's see. For instance, maybe she didn't. I don't know how she sent it to me. There was a deer walking our neighborhood last night near sunset.
Okay.
Candy got it.
Oh,
Yeah, walking right through their yard. I
Well,
mean,
that's
they're right in the
awesome.
yard.
it's coming for a snack.
I meant to tell you yesterday morning, coming up the main street before I turned here, there was one that was on the edge of the road. So I slowed down real slow, and
Yeah,
he
please.
just kept looking at me, and I kept looking at him, and
Like,
Like,
dude, let me
okay.
by.
Yes, dear. What's up? Yes, dear.
I gotta
Weather
call.
offshore today. Easterly winds about 10 knots east, 2 to 3 feet, close together, making it seem rougher than it will actually be. Uncomfortable for small boats out there. If you got a small boat and, you know, you just probably don't want to be challenging conditions, at the least, it'd be very uncomfortable for you. And be careful, even at 2 to 3 footers. Sounds and rivers will have a light chop tomorrow. Southeasterly winds about 10 knots east, 2 to 3 feet, 8 seconds apart. Much better. And a lot it be easier tomorrow. So wait until then. Sounds and rivers a light chop Thursday. Southeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots east, 3 to 4 feet. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop.
And today will be sunny with a high near 84. Calm wind becoming southeast 5 to 7 miles per hour in the afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 60. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 85. And Thursday, a chance of afternoon thunderstorms and showers, mostly cloudy with a high near 81. And we will just have to wait and see what this system off the coast does. They're showing a very, very low chance of development, but they said we will get some precipitation from it. So, and it's been great for my garden.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Chris?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
We sent you a message hoping you would call us. We had something important
Yeah.
that we had to
We've
discuss.
been talking
with
about
you.
the Ospreys, and they won 3 games so far. 3 of 3.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, sorry, I missed it. I missed it. So, but yeah, they.
Why did you miss it? What were you doing that you missed our show and our text messages? What's going on?
I was working.
Working? What? Blowing out candles?
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I guess the little bird told y'all.
I don't know about a bird. Well, I guess Lee would be a bird, I guess.
Well, I've been accused of
Jaybird.
stalking you on X, and on your profile
Yeah.
on X, it has your birthday. And so I wrote it down a while back. It's been on our calendar for quite a while.
Now, when you go to the door today and there's a big old cake there, like a big cake, when you cut into it, be careful because Lee's going to be inside the cake.
No.
It's going to be boom.
No, we're sending you, Rayford.
That'll be the
Kelly
day.
had to leave, but she was anxiously awaiting along with with us for you to call so she could wish you also a happy birthday. So,
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, if y'all want to mail a check for a few $1,000s, that'd be wonderful.
wow.
I would, but mine went up on the roof.
Mine just went up on my home insurance, so it just went up.
My roofers did finish up yesterday. They have left the scene.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Oh.
Yeah, but we've been watching the calendar every day, Chris, so we could just make sure that we gave you a call, or when you called in, we could wish you a happy birthday.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that, and that was very nice of y'all.
Well,
All right.
have a good one. Were you planning
Enjoy
to do
your
anything
day.
special today?
Yes, my wife is here with me right now, and
Yay.
enjoying each other's company.
Put her
And
on the phone. We have something we need to tell her. Put her
Yeah,
on the
we
phone.
want to talk to her about that kiss.
they want to put you on the air. She goes,
Oh,
"Oh,
no.
I heard that. Oh, no.
no.
I think I heard her say, ain't no way and whatever. But anyway. All right. Well, Chris, you have a good one.
You
No,
have
I
a great
appreciate it, my
day.
friends. Keep up the good work.
All right.
and,
You too.
we'll be calling in. I'll be calling in on Thursday.
Sounds
All
good.
right,
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you then.
Bye.
All right, thank you.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, Saturday night, then we got to do something ridiculous. And that was it. Okay. I know we Chris Marks was talking about it's Friday the 6th, right?
Yes.
Friday is the 6th of June, by the way, y'all. You know what's special about it?
It's Friday. It's the
It's
beginning
the
of the
anniversary of D-Day.
Oh.
It's the day that 150,000 Allied troops launched an invasion along the German-occupied French coastline, the day of the beginning of the end of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, and World War II. That was in 1944. World War II Army General Dwight D. Eisenhower, leading the pack there, is one of a lot of historians, some of them self-proclaimed experts on military history and the war. He said the D in D-Day meant departed. You know that a lot of military jargon has all sorts of words assigned to various missions, equipment, personnel, like C rations or K rations or MREs. You know what MREs, you know what the letters stand for?
Military ration. I know, but come on. Well, let me think. Right off the top of my head, I can't give you the exact words.
Meals ready to eat.
Did I say
You
meals?
said military something or another.
Yeah, I did. Meals ready to eat. Yeah.
In
that's right.
Eisenhower's explanations,
Simple.
departed meant the actual day the troops were leaving the ships off the coast as they made their way ashore. There was this English Channel thing, that ran between England and France and whatever, where they're going to run the boats out
Right.
there. Well, the actual start of the invasion had been scheduled for the 5th, the day before, but weather forecasts predicted the area would be sucked in, making the intended combat operation more dangerous for the Allied forces. I know there are lots of us who have studied D-Day. We've seen the movies. We've heard the term for decades. But do we really know why it was called D-Day?
No, I do not.
There are those that think D-Day, June 6th, the amphibious assault, is short for Decision Day or Designated Day. Others guess it stands for Deliverance Day. Some think it could mean Doomsday or Death Day.
Mhm.
No. Retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Mark Calhoun, a senior historian at the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, or Nolans,
That's right.
does
Nolans.
not buy Eisenhower's explanation, reasoning that it took more than one day to load the Allies' ships and the landing craft for their journey across the English Channel. Y'all, you got any idea why it was called D-Day?
No,
I don't either. But
it's just you learn it, and
if you followed history on what led up to the landing, you may have seen references to things like D-30. You know what that was? That was the countdown,
right?
if you will. The countdown,
Yes.
D-30. You've heard that on launchings of spaceship, right?
Yeah, I watched it
D-30,
last
a
night.
countdown.
Mhm.
D to all the way down to D-1. D-Day itself. Then the cleanup in the days after, the designated as D-Day, D+1, and so on. D+6,
Mhm.
6 days after the landing. Likely, that was because they did not necessarily have a certain day, as evidenced by the 1 day delay because of crappy weather, but later assigned specific dates to the actual days of the operation when it started through its conclusion. But still, what do you think? I'd like to know what you think D-Day means. Those with an interest are actually probably still Googling, and you're not going to find it. It's just, we don't know. While you're looking, and this might be easier to answer, what is H-hour? Oh, crap. We got
H-hour.
D-Day, now we got H-hour.
H-hour.
The first time that the U.S. Army is believed to have referenced a D-Day was on September 7th, 1918, about 2 months before World War I ended. Field Order Number 9, First Army Expeditionary Forces stated, the First Army will attack at H-hour on D-Day. That was World War I.
Okay.
World War I. That was the U.S. Army. It was used, H-hour and D-Day were apparently used way back when. And I'm still, and I Googled because I was curious, trying to figure out why it ever came down to being D-Day. It sounds cool. It's D-Day. It's D-30.
Steve just said that D-Day means disembark, to leave the ship and head for the shore.
That's what Eisenhower claimed after the war.
Right.
That's the excuse that he came up with.
Interesting.
But they planned it in advance.
Hmm.
A factoid of the 100, just something out of the clear blue here, of the 150,000 Allied troops from a dozen countries involved in the mission, more than 4,000 were killed. 4,000, almost 5,000 Allied troops over 12 different countries involved in that invasion. 4,000, over 4,000 were killed.
Wow. 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 I have
That's
another
one
one
mission.
for you.
Okay.
What's E-Day?
Echo Day?
Yes.
I
Echo
don't
Day.
have a clue.
Echo Day. The unnamed day on which a NATO exercise commences.
Okay. YE. Same reason as YD?
Yeah, I mean,
Embark Day. I don't know. I
Embark,
have
yeah.
no clue.
yeah. See, I never knew that. I never knew about the H day.
H-hour.
This, H-hour, and
Mhm.
then the D-Day. I mean, you've always learned that D-Day is D-Day, but like you bring up, what does it really mean?
I don't know what. Where? The actual letter D. Eisenhower is the one who, during interviews after the invasion, he came up with that thing, and he was quick-witted. I mean, they disembarked or departed. I think he used the word departed from the ships. But
What's D-Day in our meaning, as in time?
D-Day in our meaning,
It says D-Day is part of a common terminology
it is.
from military planners that also include the H-hour.
Yep.
So it's D-Day with an H and
H-hour
a time.
for D-Day, by the way, was 0630 local time en français.
Look. Oh, I just want to look at the clock on the wall and know what time it is, and I'm good.
Well, that could vary around here by hours at a time, as you know.
Yes. Oh, well, today, the North Carolina concealed carry rule is moving forward in the legislature with a committee hearing planned for today in the State House of Representatives. Two bills with similar proposals for allowing nearly any adult to carry a concealed firearm without a permit will file this year, one in the House, one in the Senate. Each has passed its respective chamber in the Republican-controlled legislature and now is waiting for final approval.
The only thing for me that I can see as an advantage for this, the only thing, I've got a concealed carry permit. I'm going to keep my
Yes, I
concealed
do.
carry permit.
I
I'm going
am
to keep getting it
also.
renewed because I want to go to other states. I want to go to Texas and I want to be able to
Yes.
carry in Texas, and I can 37 other states, 37 states and out of the 50 have reciprocal agreements. If you have a concealed carry permit from any one of the other states that allows and that has signed a reciprocal agreement, New York
Right.
New York has concealed carry permits, but we're not going to recognize it.
Oh,
Well,
no.
I think North Carolina does recognize New York concealed carry permits, but I think under a reciprocal agreement, we should not recognize their concealed carry
I
permits
know.
unless they recognize ours.
When I've
That's
gone to
what
New York,
reciprocal means.
the last I went, which was 2019, so it could be changed by now. But I didn't even take mine with
I
me
know you
because the laws going into New York were so restrictive,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to get caught because New York does not play.
No, they
They'll
don't.
throw you in jail.
Yeah,
know?
there's the story. You can carry a gun on a plane. You can check your luggage with a gun on it, right?
Right.
They had a problem at the airport in New York.
Mm-hmm.
The plane, it was in transit from one place to another. Weathered out or mechanicaled out or whatever outed, they couldn't fly. So they put the people up at a hotel. They took their luggage out.
Oh.
The local police, for some reason, ended up with information about now you've got a check piece of luggage that was legal when you put it aboard the plane that you now have in a taxi cab or bus, and you take it to a hotel, and you don't have any legal grounds to have it in New York. And they actually arrested people for it.
It's New York. New York.
Think about that one. If you're traveling and you have to land in a city, change planes, or do whatever in a city that doesn't like people with guns,
Mm-hmm.
and you get sidelined there for any reason, and you have to claim your luggage, ruh-roh, be careful.
Hey, this
careful.
this whole bill, to me, Republican politicians say those rules are too restrictive and need to replace. Talking about having to have a permit to carry one concealed, they say the more people that are armed, the safer the state will be. Says since police aren't always immediately on the scene of robberies, mass shootings, and other violent crimes, good people with guns stop bad people with guns. I believe in the right to carry, but it scares me that some people will be doing this with no regard for safety of their own or anybody around them.
Here's the scary part. You get a concealed carry permit.
Right.
You're not going to take a 40-hour course. You're not going to go through police training. You're going to have an instructor who has to teach you laws. First of all, they have to teach you. Most of your day is going to be spent in the classroom,
Right.
a full day. You're going to be spent in the classroom. The instructor is going to go over the laws pertaining to carrying guns, the use of guns, yada, yada, yada. When you just decide, I bought me a gun, I got me a pistol, I got me a hog leg, you have had no training. Not necessarily. You may not have ever fired a gun in your life. You may know nothing about guns. You go buy a gun, strap it on, carry it concealed, and suddenly you're James Bond. You see something going down.
Oh, yeah.
Let me give you a prime example that did occur.
Right.
We used to shoot Crime Stoppers reenactments, right, in Wilmington,
Right.
and then Myrtle Beach too. We were at one. I was shooting it. Because I always did the Crime Stopper stuff personally because I wanted it done right. We had a reenactment going on at a shoe store.
Oh.
Pay per whatever, pay less or whatever, one of those discount shoe stores, right?
Right. Right.
They had been robbed. The bad guys came in wearing masks and carrying a shotgun. That was what went down.
Right.
So I'm standing outside shooting, bad guys, mask on, walking around the corner of this building that is on Carolina Beach Road in Wilmington, right near Shipyard Boulevard, a very busy location.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
dusk.
Hmm.
The sergeant with the detective division that handled these Crime Stoppers, he was always on scene. We had two bad guys, mask, one carrying a shotgun. Obviously, chamber was clear by the detective. I'm shooting it. They walk around the building. They start to go in the front door. The detective had made one mistake. He had not notified the police department over the radio so all other cops could hear what was going down.
Oh.
A cop does a Huey
Uh-oh.
driving by, comes out with gun in hand. And it was like, oh, that row is right. Well, it got stopped very quickly because the detective and we were both screaming, it's a reenactment. And so he reacted accordingly. Let's just suppose that Joe Bubba Wright driving by with his
Bubba.
hog leg strapped on,
Bubba.
he jumps out of his car. I see two bad guys. They got masks on and one's got a shotgun and he pulls his gun. What's going to happen?
Well, here's another, I agree. Here's another side of the coin. Some law enforcement officers oppose the idea in part because they fear losing the probable cause they currently have to stop and question people who get reported for carrying guns in public.
That's right.
And one of the senators, Senator Muhammad, a Charlotte Democrat, thinks the bill, if approved, would lead to more law enforcement deaths. You're going to kill police officers with this bill, he said during an earlier debate. Very debatable bill. And I know that people will argue.
Here's the thing. The bill, I'm sure, I have not read it. I'm sure this bill says the same thing that the conceal and carry permit law says, is that if you are approached, if a police officer stops you in your car as a conceal and carry permittee, you have to tell said police officer that you have a gun.
Right.
And he will ask you where it is. The officer can actually take that gun from you and keep it in his possession until he has finished writing you a ticket or finishes whatever he's doing with you, and then he can return it. On the two occasions that I did that, I unloaded the gun for them, and I handed them their pistol. I said, would you secure that for the time being?
Mm-hmm.
And then I handed them the magazine and the other extra bullet that goes in the chamber. And I said, you feel free to load that as soon as we are not together. And that's what I took upon me to do. That was in the early stages of concealed carry.
Well, let's just review the bill itself. This is the draft. And there's been a few little, amendments and changes on it since it's been in and out of committee. But a bill to be entitled, An Act to Protect a Person's Right to Carry a Concealed Handgun Without a Permit and Continue Allowing Persons to Acquire a Concealed Handgun Permit for the Purpose of
Reciprocal.
Thank you. I got tongue-tied. Or for any other reason desired.
Yep.
So
Several things with a permit that a
Mhm.
benefit to me, to police officers in general. They know if you've got a concealed carry permit that you've already been screened.
Right.
The people in the courts know you've been screened. Do you know how many times that witnesses who are up on a stand for whatever reason that they're on the stand, a good defense lawyer or a good prosecuting lawyer will say, Ms. Barrows, do you have a concealed carry permit? I do. That means that you have been screened and your background has been run and you passed your background checks, correct? Yes.
Correct.
Okay, well, then we can consider you a good and honest person. Right up front, that's what they will do. If they're a smart defense attorney, they will do that. They will use that to their advantage. If you're just a guy carrying a gun, we understand you bought a gun, you strapped it on, you're carrying it. What kind of training you have? Didn't say I had to have any. Who? Anybody do any background on you? Well, they ran a background on me, but it just said that I wasn't a convicted criminal or anything when they ran a background check on me when I went to buy my gun.
It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to pass without
It's
a
going to
glitch.
pass.
Yeah.
Now, I said there's an advantage for me
Mhm.
and for you if you got a concealed carry permit.
Yes.
When it comes time to renew it at the end of 5 years, like I unfortunately failed to do on one occasion, when the time came, I couldn't carry my gun until I could go get a class, and you had to take the entire class again because mine had been expired for a year. If it expires, you can't carry it while it's expired, but if it's expired in less than a year, you can go get it renewed. And the minute you file to have it renewed, well, I don't know that for a fact. If you've got it and it has not expired and you file a renewal process, you can still carry it as though it has been renewed until you get your paperwork in the mail too, or they restrict you. But I can't say for a fact. I'd have to find out from the sheriff or whatever. If it has expired, I don't think you can carry it even during that year grace until you can get it renewed. I don't know for a fact.
Well,
but
I
either way,
yes.
I would be able to carry it under this bill, even without it having a piece of paper. Obviously, I couldn't fly out to Texas and carry my gun with me, but
I know the majority of the states have this open carry.
that's fine. But that doesn't mean that I can carry it.
Right.
That means you have to be a resident of that state to carry it.
True. But
That does
open
not
carry-
mean that in North Carolina, that law in North Carolina, once it's passed, if it's passed, it does not mean that Joe Bubba from Texas, who does not have a permit, can come here and carry his gun concealed. Does it? I hope not.
Well, my sister and I were at a store last week, and I
Mhm.
believe it was kind of like a clothing store, variety store.
Mhm.
And there was a young woman walking around in there with a big old gun strapped on her
Well,
waist.
good for her.
And I'm like,
she's my bird dog.
you
Just-
know,
you
I'm
flush
just
them, I
like-
get them.
Like I told my sister, stay away from her. She said, "Why?" I said, "Because if anything breaks out in the store, they're going after her first."
And they might miss.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Right.
And then again, for you guys who want to do that, I'm in full agreement that we all have a right to protect ourselves using whatever means we
absolutely.
have. If it's a butcher knife, if it's a meat cleaver, if it's a grenade, I don't care. If I want to protect myself from harm from somebody else, it's good.
Mhm.
I respect your right and your abilities to do that. What's concerning is you might not have the right stuff. Cops, when they go to the range, it's not the bullets that hit the target that's the only thing that count. You can pass with 70% on the range. I guess that's still what the passing grade is.
Yes.
What happens to those other bullets? That's what law enforcement harps on. It's not firing 500 rounds and hitting him 450 times. What happened to the other 50 bullets? Is your child out there running around the street somewhere and got hit by one of those? How about when Joe Bubba starts shooting and he hits one out of every 50? What happened to his 49 bullets? How many of them connected with somebody in the background? Your wife, your husband, your grandmother, your mother, your father, your children. What happens when Joe Bubba does that? What
Very
happens when
true.
Joe Bubba decides, hey, this dude's robbing the store and I'm going to play cop. I'm going to be a hero. And he pulls a gun. No, absolutely not.
Well, my thing is, and I'm just going to put it right out there, simple.
Mhm.
Are you wearing that weapon in full view because it makes you think you're cool? Or are you wearing it because you're honestly scared to go to the food line and get a loaf of bread?
In a lot of cases these days and times, they don't want to spend the money or take the time to go take a concealed carry course. I believe that everybody who's carrying open right now, if they were able to carry concealed, they will do that. Now, that's one of the things this concealed carry bill will do. Open,
Right.
whether they can carry open now.
Right.
But it will, most people will at that point in time, I think, choose, I hope.
See, it's such a fine line because I believe in the right to carry. I believe in the Second Amendment, but I've also been on the end where I've had to give training classes on the safety and the legal use of carrying a weapon.
Yeah.
And, of course, this has been a long time ago. And then I've also been on that side where we've had classes shooting on the range and watching how people handled weapons. Because they didn't know. That's what worries me and bothers me. But it's a fine line. I believe in the right to carry. But then and again, I'm just like, why are you actually walking around,
I think it's
Target,
because
carrying a gun on
I
your
think
hip?
it's because they may feel like they want to carry. Maybe they've been the victim of a crime in the past. Maybe
I
somebody's
can
mugged
see
them.
that.
If they want some protection. Okay, I got that. And then once they are able to carry concealed without a permit, then they
Right.
will probably carry concealed.
Yes. Yes.
It's just that right now, and sometimes the other thing, I wonder if they took a class and failed it.
Yes.
Okay.
Could be. Steve. Yeah, it's
It's the house of confusion and gardening.
an
Can I help you?
interesting debate.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, good morning, guys.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
We're doing just fine.
just
How's
full
your
of-
garden growing?
I was up here in New Bern today. Had to bring the wife to a dentist appointment.
Oh.
Wow.
Yep.
Mm.
I hate to say it, but that is her, not me.
Yeah.
Better thee than me.
Those appointments are-
You better take her to lunch after this.
Take her to lunch when she's all
Text her.
have Novocaine shot up in her mouth and see how that works out for
Right.
you. Be sure you get
we
a
just thought
straw.
we'd wait to see how she felt whether
Yeah.
we went to lunch or
Yeah.
not.
Whether you go for soup or for
Lunch with a straw.
hamburger.
Corn on the cob or soup.
Oh, ouch! That's cruel.
I was listening to what you were saying about the hitting the target 9 out of 10 times. Where does the 10th bullet go?
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of people don't think about, but I think something that's also important people don't think about is if you're shooting, let's just say 9mm full metal jacket, even if you hit your target, that bullet's going to go through that target and probably through the wall behind them.
Yep.
So
Well,
you have to look past
yeah.
your target. Even if you hit the target 10 out of 10 times, a lot of times people are using ammunition that's going to go straight through that person.
That is a great point. And
Yes.
back in the 70s, did you know that the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, as we used to call them, American Criminal something or other, they came out with a proposal to ban all what they called dum-dum bullets. You know what dum-dum bullets were?
Hollow points.
Yeah, they were. Dum-Dum was a brand name, by the way. That's how it came about. But they were trying to ban all hollow point bullets, Dum-Dums. Law enforcement preferred hollow points for a couple of reasons, and exactly what you're talking about. But I'll never forget Chief Cook here. And I was just a young pup there, and he was an experienced guy. He carried 45s in the Army, of course, full metal jacket, right? But he was just talking to us one day. He said, "What do you think about all this?" Well, here's my thought process. We need to carry hollow points to safeguard the public and to safeguard us. What do you mean? I said, well, let's just take a .357 Magnum, which most of us carried, with a full metal jacket, 158 grains, 158 grain bullet traveling at 1,200 feet per second, is going to go through and through. Whatever it hits, it's going to go through and through unless it really hits a major bone, right? It's going to go through and through. When it comes out the other side, it's going to have a lot of energy still going and going like the Energizer Bunny. It's going to be going and going and going. Not necessarily in a straight direction. It can go in and change course inside a body cavity. They do that. It might come out and go to hang a right. And the chief, where's your wife going to be shopping that day? He said, well, I understand. We're going to carry hollow points. We're going to continue hollow points. And I'm not going to tell you what he said about the ACLU. But you can imagine, he was Army.
So I have on my 357 hollow.
But that's the point. And also, when you shoot, you can shoot a guy. I could. A guy can get stabbed in the heart with an ice pick, right? He's probably going to die, but not right away. What's he going to do in the meantime? 12 gauge in his hand. What's he going to do in the meantime? He's going to hurt me bad. I can hit him in the chest with a Louisville slugger. He probably is not going to die unless I rupture his heart, but he's not going to be pulling his gun and shooting me. You shoot him with a 357 Magnum with hollow points, he's going down. Mm-hmm. He's just going to go down. He's not going to be returning fire.
Right. I was going to say, I've also seen, like, out in hunting, a friend of mine, he, with a black powder rifle, shot at a group of deer. He shot at the one in front and went clean through 2 deer.
Yeah.
With a black powder rifle at 100 yards.
Probably had one of those about a 50 caliber with a hard ball, just nothing but a hunk of lead in there.
Yep.
That weighed about 300 grams.
It was what they call a sabot round or whatever, kind of like a hollow point.
Yep.
Yeah. But it clear went through 2 deer.
Through and through
on 2.
Uh-huh.
You know, and deer ain't much different than people.
Nope.
As far as body mass.
Nope.
You know, muscle mass. But yeah, a lot of people don't think about that. You know, that it's also what's on the other side of your target. Even if you hit target 10 out of 10.
Yep.
You know? So, anyway, I wanted to throw that one out there. You know, honestly, a lot of people make me nervous when I see them with guns because I just don't think many people
I really wish you can't mandate it because we have the Second Amendment, but I really wish people would develop a little bit of
respect and knowledge.
And like, you know what? Responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Responsibility. Respect and responsibility.
I think we ought to have gun safety training in schools.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
Have to bring guns in. You can bring toy guns in. They can learn gun safety with with a broom. You can learn gun safety with a broom.
A wooden stick.
Right.
But and you bring
Schools
up a point, not necessarily to teach them how to use a gun. Teach them how not to use a gun, because kids are going to find a gun somewhere.
Well, some will, and that's inevitable.
And
if they don't know nothing about it, most of them, the accidents happen because they don't know how to handle it.
That's right.
And they accidentally shoot it.
That's right.
You know. Fine. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Hope
okay, we're on the same page. Thank you, sir.
You know,
y'all have a good one.
Bye.
Rayford, on the other side of the coin, people can argue like driving a vehicle. You know, that can be a weapon also.
You cannot drive a vehicle without a driver's license and training, can you?
But that's what I was getting ready to say. But the thing about it is you have to go through training.
Here's the difference. There's nothing in our Constitution that guarantees in the state, no state has a Constitution that guarantees you a right to be able to drive. Nope. You do not have a right, a constitutional right, U.S. or any state that I know of in its Constitution. But anyway, the U.S. Constitution doesn't do it. You do not have a right to drive. Hello, you sovereign citizens out there, take a lesson from that. The Constitution does not give you a right to drive.
I was going to look up John's new video.
The state does or doesn't, one or the other. That's the difference in getting a gun permit and carrying a gun and driving a car. You can drive a car, but you cannot legally drive a car without a license, which you cannot get without training, which you cannot get without liability insurance. And you have to have a clean record, or you have to have a record that is not going to prohibit you from having it.
Wow, he just downloaded another one 38 minutes ago. Boxer silences camera jockey.
Yeah.
The guy's in his boxers. Okay, this is the one that came out last night. I haven't watched it yet because I got all upset just looking at the title of it. The worm, meaning the frauditor, insist on filming first graders.
Oh, you're dead.
First graders.
Bubba.
This guy exercising his constitutional
Yeah,
rights.
there's
wanted
one of them that
to
I saw
film.
that he had. This guy wanted to go into the school. He said it's a public school, right? Yeah.
Ah, that's what it is.
Doesn't matter. It's a public school.
That's right.
The state and every state gives the people who are in charge of these public school systems the right to detain, contain,
Mhm.
prohibit, allow individuals to come in. I tell you what you do, y'all. Why don't you go to the Jacksonville Police Department? You frauditors out there, you guys think you've got the right
They
to go in
have
anywhere because it's the
confronted one,
public police
JP.
department.
Mhm.
Go in there and just walk on in and see how far you get.
I-
Let me know how it works out for you. The place down the street with the slats over the windows is called the jailhouse. They'll be serving about noon
Well,
today.
it's just like the sheriff's office is a public building. Our taxes paid for that building. We bought that
Yeah.
building. Our taxes go to the salary. But that doesn't mean we have the right to go in there and film
Nope.
and start asking people, do you know what notice such and such is?
Your
You
right
know?
ends where my right begins, and you do not have a right to film me. I will go over again one of these days because these idiots do not understand, too, that if you're shooting anybody, videoing, taking pictures of anybody, and it's going to be used to earn you money for commercial purposes,
Right.
and that person is isolated, singled out, even in a group shot. You shoot a
Mhm.
ball game, those are public events and those are for news purposes. They're fair game there because they've already signed away their rights. But up in the crowd, if you zero in on the cute little girl up there in the stands, and you're doing it for commercial purposes and you sell that video somewhere, guess what? If you do not have a written model release, they call it a model release from that person, $10,000 per day for the offense.
Well,
I collected that for somebody who used one of my photos.
oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you have a copyright still on yours, don't you?
Don't have to. Every image that you take, I take, is copyrighted. But you better be able to prove it's yours. I mean, let's just take yesterday mornings in a walk in the yard here. Which one of those images would look exactly alike? They all look very much. If somebody else was standing there shooting the same thing, how would I prove that's mine? Impossible. There's
Right.
4 pictures of the sun coming up. Okay. At a certain location. For me, for images that really mean something to me, for you guys who decide you want to go in and find some of my images somewhere, and you won't find any high resolution ones. That's the first thing. But if you happen to bump into one of them somewhere, embedded in any image that I have put out there in the public that somebody might steal, there is embedded my name and a date on a single pixel somewhere on that image. Now, you guys, have you ever looked at images and seen how many pixels there are in one picture? Go find that. Go find it. You will be looking at pixel by pixel by pixel.
I had a software program where I could go into it and take a picture. Like I went into it, a picture of a couple, and one of the family members wanted to take the male out of it and send her the female. She had passed away.
Mhm.
And so I blew it up pixel by pixel by pixel and colored it. And it took him completely out, and you wouldn't have known that he was even in the picture.
Unless you blow it up and take a look
But
at the images.
when you talk about pixels, whew,
Yeah, when we want to examine photographs to see if it's been altered or whatever, I throw it into Photoshop the first thing, and I pick it up and then I look for differences.
mhm.
And it's not impossible because there's some computer programs out there that they use in Hollywood and make it virtually impossible. But for the normal person out there, it's kind of difficult to make one that we cannot look at it and find the flaws in it.
We've got 1 minute left. Let me ask you a
5,
question. We're
4,
talking about the rights, Second
2.
Amendment. Okay, what's the Ninth Amendment?
I have no idea.
The Ninth Amendment was added to the United States Constitution on September 5th, 1789. The amendment, part of the Bill of Rights, states that the American people have individual rights that may not be listed in the Constitution and that these rights cannot be violated.
They may have individual rights. They have individual rights to wear their hair the way they want to, unless they're in the Army.
Yeah, I was just like,
Marine Corps.
well, that's a good example because I was thinking, okay, what kind of individual rights are we talking
and
about?
once you sign up and say, "Do you take this oath?" and will you do? Will you say, "Well, yeah, huh?" Well, now you belong. You know what GI? The letters GI mean.
I usually,
You don't know what they mean, do you?
I could
Government issued.
Yeah.
You are government issued.
See, I was
You
thinking
are-
medical when you said that.
I know you were gastro and
Yeah, gastrointestinal,
whatever.
but then I was reverting back to the government. All right, this amendment was added to the Constitution to make it clear that not all personal rights of the people have been specified in the Constitution, as it was impossible to outline them all. Isn't that kind of a vague amendment?
It's called a catch-all. It's kind of like going around armed to the terror and danger of the public.
Right.
You're walking down, if you're walking down the street here and you're
Interesting.
headed down towards the woods to go hunting like I used to do way back when,
Mhm.
I was not armed to the terror and danger of the public, right? Now, if I had at the same time walked down Court Street carrying my little 410 gauge shotgun when I was a little kid, if I'd walked down Court Street with that shotgun, I would have been armed to the terror and danger of the public.
Exactly.
You understand?
Yeah,
That's where those laws come into play. Okay, we're
Right.
done. We'll see you tomorrow. We will have Dr. Rosemary in here tomorrow. Do we have Peter tomorrow? It's the first Wednesday.
No, we have Greg, the congressman, the second
I know that.
Tuesday. No. Oh, that's right. We do have Peter tomorrow.
That's what I thought. You didn't have it listed.
I know.
Okay.
Rayford,
Got it.
I have to put my vehicle on auto drive to find my way home sometimes. Push that
Do you
button.
always wake up in the same place doing that?
I'll never tell secrets.
There's probably video. Have a great rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow.
We will see you. By the way, we can see you guys when you're on your computer. I don't know whether have you noticed that I don't know about you, but I cover up my cameras on my computers with a piece of tape.
I do too. And
Do you guys do that?
Especially if I'm on a Zoom meeting too.
Some of you, I can look at when we click onto when you're posting stuff.
Stop it. He
we can look
cannot.
up.
He cannot.
They're
But
paranoid
have
people
you
out there.
ever had your computer on and then you look and your camera light's on?
Of course, your TV does the same thing. Your smart TV.
Look, I'm like you. I cover stuff up because that happened with my security system, and I had an indoor camera,
Oh, I got a bunch
and
of
I'd be
those.
sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden I'd look up, and the light's on. Now who's watching
My
me?
indoor cameras are not connected to the internet. Okay.
See, I fixed mine too,
Mine are
but
internal only. Period. Bottom line. Now the outdoor
Mhm.
cameras, I can look at those from
Right.
afar.
yes, same.
Uh,
But that's kind of freaky when you're sitting there and, when you're alone in your house and the blinds are closed and it's a hot evening, even though the air conditioner's on overtime, sometimes you dress a little light. And to be sitting there, got your legs crossed up on the
mostly half
coffee
naked.
table, and, and you look and the camera light's on, I find that very invasive.
Okay, guys, tomorrow, when I fail to remember it, y'all write this down so you can call up anyway. If you want to share something that, have you ever inadvertently been caught by one of your cameras or a camera somewhere else doing something that, you wouldn't have been doing if you'd known there was a camera there?
Right.
Have you ever been caught on camera? Okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I have a local Real Talk.
Were we awake?
I was waiting for that, but we're never woke.
Very.
See you in the morning. Bye. Be safe.